And now for a new segment on Speaking of Spirits. Jessy and I have been working on a road trip series where we talk about the history and hauntings of towns across America. Enjoy.
Where are we headed to, Messy Jessy?
I am so excited. You guys get ready to do the truffle shuffle.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Blah, blah, blah. We're going to Astoria, Oregon.
Astoria,
I'm excited.
Oregon.
I've been here.
Yeah.
I love it. Yes. It's where the bridge that you look at caused me to pee my pants.
That was the only bridge that I've really been freaked out on. Like, it was really, really windy when I went over it, and it is freaking weird, man. I don't like
a one-laner. A one-laner, kind of.
Yeah, it's
sorta
craziness. Yeah.
I didn't go over it, just to be clear, because I wussed out. I was like, no. It's like when you look at something and you're shaking in your knees and you're like, yeah, this is not something I should be on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you see like flashes of, I don't know, Tusami. I don't know what to say it.
Tsunami?
Tsunami.
Just, I thought you were talking about some kind of damn oriental fish stuff. Like food.
Yeah. Well, anyway, like, okay, technical. Like, you know, hit the bridge while I'm going over it or something, and everybody's like, that's impassable because it's like 100 million miles in the air. Anyway,
so
I'm done.
So they actually filmed Twilight in Astoria, right? But it was supposed to be set in Forks.
I am not sure. I think so.
Yeah, I think they did. Or at least a huge portion of it.
Yeah, I think they did a lot of like La Push and stuff like that on there.
Yeah.
I still want to go to La Push, not because of the Twilight vampire things. I'm more of a wolf girl.
Yeah, that wolf was hot.
You know, all of them were, to be honest.
They were, but dang it.
I'm not into sparkly guys.
I know. And the wolf, it was like, holy moly. Okay.
Like, okay. Anyway.
Here we go.
So Astoria, as we all know, is a port city. It seats on the Clatsop County, Oregon, in the United States. It was founded in 1811. Astoria is also the oldest city in the state of Oregon and was the first permanent American settlement west of the Rocky Mountains. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. The county is northwest corner of Oregon, and Astoria is located on the south shore of the Columbia River, which, by the way, is the coolest thing to go and see. If you ever go and do a road trip to Astoria, beautiful. Like when you get out of Portland. I hate Portland. I'm sorry, guys. Portland. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's just too busy for me. I'm more kind of a city, small town girl, not really city girl. So anyway, but once you get outside of Portland, it's so gorgeous. This is also like on the way. You can see Mammoth Falls, which is on the other side of Portland. Cool road trip if you guys ever go. The Columbia is really cool. There's a fish hatchery. You can actually go and look at the fishes and stuff like that. Awesome. 10 out of 10.
I'm not mistaken, I think the Coast Guard over there, they have to practice rolling their ships.
Yes.
At the mouth of that river. Yes.
Yep. Yes. And there's also a museum that talks about the Coast Guard, as well as like it's a maritime museum, which is really cool.
Cool.
If you guys ever go there.
Yeah.
The city was named after John Jacob Astor. He was an investor and an entrepreneur from New York, whose American fur company founded Fort Astoria at the site and established a monopoly in fur trading in the 19th century. Astoria was incorporated by the Oregon Legislative Assembly on October 20th, 1856. So that's kind of how it got started. The city has served by a deep water port of Astoria. It's a transportation that includes like Astoria Regional Airport, US Route 30, and US Route 101, which is a beautiful route if you ever wanted to do a coast trip. Yes. Those are the main highways. And 4.1 miles of Astoria, we get to the favorite bridge of not mine, the Mergler Bridge. It connects the neighborhood Washington across the river. The population of Astoria in the 2020 census is about 10 to 11,000 people that live there. So that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit of, we're going to go kind of back before Astoria was established. The prehistorical settlements during an archaeologist excavations of Astoria in Fort Clatsop in 2012, trading items from the American settlers with the Native Americans. We always got to remember Native Americans were there before the fur traders were there. They found Australian glass beads and like bells and all kinds of other stuff. I thought that was really cool. Like, again, this is during probably many thousands of years when we talked about it last time when we were in Fairbanks, Alaska. We talked about the bridge from, Russia to Alaska.
Oh, so yeah. The big land bridge. Okay.
Yep. The present area of the Astoria belonged to a large prehistoric Native American trade system of the Columbia Plateau. So I thought that was really cool. Now we know about Lewis and Clark. Yep. We're going to fast forward. Lewis and Clark expedition spent the winter there of 1805 to 1806 at Fort Clatsop. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. There is a small log structure southwest of the modern day Astoria. You can actually go and visit. There's a state park that you can go and visit and view the cabin or parts of it. I don't know. I didn't really look up to see how much is left there, but I do know that's one of the things I wanted to go and see when I was there. Mm-hmm. But I was more intrigued with the Goonies and the Truffle Shuffle. So, the expedition back in the day, they also hoped for like a ship would come and take them back to the east. Lewis and Clark did, but instead they endured like treacherous, winter rain and cold. Astoria by far is very, so where we live in a desert area. Astoria is more like a rainy, tropical, it does get heat, but it's like it's honestly perfect weather for me. I love it.
Yeah, me too. It's that misty coastal rain effect, and it's really forested. Yeah.
Yes, and it's so beautiful. And there are flowers there that you can never grow in a desert. I wish I could grow this flower, but I can't. I killed them all. They later did return overland and by river. So Lewis and Clark did make their way back to the east. They traveled all over Oregon and did a lot of fur trading. So like I said, there's a historical park. So there is also a Fort Astoria, which we talked about. This was built in 1811. A British explorer named David Thompson was the first person known to navigate the entire length of the Columbia River, which I thought was interesting. He reached the partially constructed Fort Astoria near the mouth of the river. He arrived 2 months after the fur trading company ship, the Tahquin. The fort constructed by the Tahquin party established Astoria as a U.S. rather than a British settlement, which I thought was pretty interesting. It did become a vital post, an American exploration of the continent, and it later was used as an American claim to Oregon boundary dispute with the European nations. So the fort basically was like established to say, hey, this is our territory, not the British territory. Which is if you really look at the map and how close Astoria, and yes, there's also Washington, but if you really think about it, like the British had control of some of the area of Washington and everything. It was still under British rule back in the day until we did the exploration. So, which I thought was kind of cool.
I didn't know that. Why did I not know that?
Yeah. It's and that's why we did the exploration, so we can kind of get ahead of, the British, basically, even though we were still an established United States. And I learned this, and Dr. H would be proud. I did pay attention, but I mean, there was always competition for land, even though we were established as a country, but the British and as well as Spanish were still fighting over parts of the land. So I didn't know that either until I remembered, diving deep into my college days that I don't remember. Thank you, Dr. H. So in 1882, here's some more history. Like Washington Irving, he was a prominent American writer with European reputation. He approached by John Jacob Astor to mythologize the 3-year reign of his Pacific Fur Company, Astoria, written while Irving was Astor's guest, promoted the importance of the region of the American psyche. So, in Irving's words, the fur traders were Sinbads of the wilderness, which I thought was pretty cool. It almost sounds mysterious. Sinbads of the wilderness. Their venture was staging point for the spread of the American economic power into both the continental interior and outward in the Pacific trade. So there was a lot of trade going through Astoria, as well as through, like the Columbia River and as well as ocean. So Astoria was like the main point, and still is today, is the main point. They started the Astoria Salmon Cannery. Astoria attracted a host of immigrants beginning in the late 19th century. Nordic settlers, primary Swedes speaking Finns, and Chinese soon became a larger part of the population. The Nordic settlers mostly lived in the Union Town near the present-day end of Astoria by the bridge. If you guys ever go to Astoria, seriously, there's so much beautiful history there. And a lot of memorializations for the immigrants that came over. The Chinese tended to do the cannery work just because, as we know in our history, the Chinese were put to work a lot harder. Maybe because of their origin, even as a railroad. When you look in the past of history, the Chinese were not treated very well. It's kind of like the black slaves in a way, but more like Oriental slaves. And it's really sad to say, but it's the truth. They usually lived downtown in bunkhouses near the canneries, and I can't imagine how stinky that was. Fish doesn't smell good to me, so I mean, I can eat it, but I don't. Yeah, I can't do it. By the late 1800s, 22% of the Astoria population was Chinese. So that's huge. Like, that's why there's such a huge population there. Yeah. Especially, Sikh kids from Punjab, or like a Punjab, is that what they call it? It's like a political movement among Indians on the west coast of the U.S. and Canada to overthrow British rules in India, which was really weird too. So, yeah. Interesting fun fact, not really, but in 1922, the Astorian was devastated by a fire. Geez, it's been a long day. I think about the bridge.
I thought you said spider, and I'm like, what the hell? What the actual hell?
That would be like the worst nightmare ever. Like, I seen a hobo spider today, and I can only, no thanks. No thanks. It's like arachnophobia all over again, part 3.
Like Godzilla motion through fighting off spiders. God. Yeah, no.
Don't give him any ideas.
I know, right?
Anyway, a devastating fire caused the buildings were construction mostly of wood, and they were destroyed. These buildings were entirely raised off like a marshy ground. So when you guys go look at these portside towns like Astoria, you will notice that a lot of the houses are built tall and up because of the water, and it's marshy. Yeah.
Okay.
So even after the first fire, the same building format was used. In the second fire, number 2 fire spread quickly again, and the collapsing streets took out the water system. Frantic citizens restored to like dynamite, blowing up the entire buildings and creating like a whole new town.
Wow.
I thought that was interesting. And we know that Astoria served as an entry. We talked about that earlier. There was a navigation company that imported transportation and maritime concern based in the city. It was long since been important to Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington as the main economic hubs. But again, Astoria is like the main road into inner United States. So I thought it was pretty interesting. There was a brewing company. It was established in 1902. The company was owned by John Kopp, who sold the firm to a group of 5 men, whom was Charles Robinson, who became the company's president in 1907. The main plant for the brewery was located in the East Exchange Street. So I don't know if it was like a hops. So we know that Bumblebee Seafood Corporation, its headquarters is out of Astoria.
Huh.
Bumblebee tuna.
Yeah.
Bumblebee tuna. Sorry. I was thinking of the movie. What is that? Bumblebee tuna. Anyway.
Wait a minute.
Ace
Was that
Ventura?
Mr. Mom when she worked for the tuna? But that was schooner tuna.
Yeah, it was Schooner Tuna.
Schooner tuna, yeah.
Schooner Tuna.
That was the best movie ever.
Oh,
God, I love
man.
that movie.
Oh, man. And then you got the plywood mill, the city's largest employer. Unfortunately, they closed in 1989. And then we have the Burlington North and the Santa Fe Railroad. It was discontinued service in 1996. It didn't really provide a lot of market into Astoria. So our favorite bridge, that was built it was built from 1921 to 1966. That was like almost like Golden Gate of the North to me.
Well, isn't that the largest single truss bridge in the United States?
Yes. Yeah. It connected to Washington, as we know. Let me see. It was built and linked, replacing a ferry service. Didn't really find a lot. I mean, I didn't look, so my apologies. But yes, it spent about $10 million back in the day, which was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money then.
And it was to accommodate the larger ships coming through. And if you guys ever go there, you'll see like the cruise ships that port there on their way to like Alaska. So it was, yeah. So yeah, that's a little bit of Astoria. There's a lot of haunted places. Of course, being like one of the oldest cities in Oregon, actually is the oldest city in Oregon. They have, I picked my top 3.
Well, do you want me to get into the top 10 things to do first?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay.
Because I'm just over here thinking about the bridge and how I would die going across it.
And you probably need to drink water after all of that. So, okay, top 10 things. I don't know that I necessarily have 10, but I picked out. Astoria is absolutely packed full of stuff to do. And it's like you have to cut it off somewhere because it's just so much stuff. But of course, my number 1 top 10 thing to do is the Oregon Coast Brewery Tour. Yeah.
I'd be down for that. Maybe I have a couple brews and then try to go across the bridge.
Yeah, there's dramatic cliffs, offshore rocks, sea lions, beaches, majestic capes, historic lighthouses. So there's a Oregon Coast Brewery Tour, and in Astoria, you have Cannon Beach, Haystack Rock, and all this other stuff. And there's a bunch of breweries. So that sounds like a whole lot of fun. So you can go on the brewery tour. I hope they have a designated driver. It'd be really cool to have like a trolley and then you just go from bar to bar.
Right?
Yeah. And
you
then
know what? We can capitalize on that.
I think so. I think we should. We should.
The Haunted 101.
A guided fishing tour. We have this in Alaska, but fishing is huge in Oregon. Yes. And I have a friend who does deep sea fishing every year, and she catches tuna, and then she brings it back here and she cans it, and it's amazing. It's the best tuna you ever had in your life.
Yes.
So there's guides that'll take you fishing, either ocean fishing or I'm assuming up the river. They say that some of the fish can be 2 to 12 feet in length.
They're huge.
Yeah, so I'm assuming those are probably tuna, bluefin. I don't know. Would bluefin be up there?
I think so. Also, we got to remember, too, the salmon. This is their actual
the salmon.
run.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yep. And then one of the things to do is the Astoria column. And it's a 125-foot column which sits atop Coxcomb Hill that overlooks Astoria.
Yeah.
And I actually do you have a haunting on that one?
No, I don't think so. No, maybe.
Because
no, you go ahead.
I have something. So I think I have, yeah. Yep, I do have something on that. So, and then there's the fort. You talked about the fort. It's the replica of Lewis and Clark's for the expedition in 1805. So that's like a favorite of people who visit that area. They like it. I don't know. Replica is kind of like, they don't do much for me, but I guess if you're there, you can check it out.
Yeah. I mean, it brings the imagination and what it really could have been like back in the day.
Yeah. And I think it's really important for the kids to see that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I think you pronounced this Flavel House Museum. Yes. And it's a Queen Anne. And it is it is like you can take tours through it, and it looks absolutely beautiful, and I would love to see it.
It is beautiful. I toured it.
Oh,
beautiful. Like if I could just buy the house and live there, I would.
Yeah. And then I brought up the trolley because this is one of the top 10 things to do is the trolley, the riverfront trolley. And I so want to make that a brewery tour trolley. I think that would be so much fun. It's called the Old 300 trolley, and it was built in 1913. And so this group of cars were numbered 300 to 313. And so the trolley runs particular times of the year. I think that is really cool. And then, of course, you brought up the Goonies house.
Yeah. Fun fact about that. When I went to go visit it, the street at the time was closed off because the people that owned it at the time did not want visitors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read on the history that there was an owner at one time that was really not happy with the amount of traffic. Yes. People wanting to see the house and clogging up the streets. But now that's all changed.
Yes. Yep. The person that owns it now is awesome.
Yeah. So it sounds like, so you can park. There's a designated parking area. You can park. You can tour the house. It sounds like it's a lot of fun. And the owner is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And if you saw the movie, I mean, you got to go see the Goonies house. It's such a good movie. And then there's the Haunting Histories and Legends of Astoria tour. That sounds excellent.
I think we should do the brewery trolley and then do the haunted histories.
I know you have to imbibe a little bit before you can do the ghosty thing,
right?
So it's a 2-hour stroll. And it goes to some of the lesser known historical sites and Victorian mansions of the old Astoria village. And I just think it sounds like the lady who puts on the tour is remarkable. And I would like to meet her. So it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. I love it. It makes me want to go there now.
I know. Ugh. I miss the Oregon coast a lot.
It's beautiful. So beautiful.
We did have some reviews, and then you can hit your hauntings. I'm sorry, I was just checking on my little dog. She had surgery a couple of weeks ago, so sometimes she struggles. Okay. 5-star review that Astoria is a small community with an active downtown of shops, restaurants, pubs, and local services. Within a 10 to 15 mile drive, there are many more services and stores that you could find in the community than like a Costco and Walmart. And I'm glad that they put those kind of on the outskirts, Leave the old town, Yes. The community is very outdoors oriented with water sports, hiking, camping, mountain biking, and more. And you know what? They don't have minus 30 degree temperature in the winter, which is really cool. 3-star, Crime rate is pretty high for being such a small city due to the large homeless population. However, they do have good schools and a good police department. The housing is quite high as well. However, it's just like any other city in the state, so it's not really much worse. There also isn't that many job opportunities, or at least ones that pay enough. And that you hear that in every small town.
Right.
That's just the way it
I
is.
think I understand too is like majority of the people who live in Astoria work in like Washington. So they work on the other side.
Where on the other side? Because there wasn't.
I don't know. And I
Isn't
know there's
Portland
another.
in
Yeah,
Vancouver
Portland's
like an hour and a half away? 2 hours?
I think, yeah, it is. But there's a lot of other things outside because I know that Astoria has like the main, like the old part. And then you go across some bridges. Like there's like 2 twin bridges and they actually are part of like Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of people that work up there. I don't think it's very far. It's been a while, so I don't remember exactly, but I do know we went to a Fred Meyer's there.
Yes, there is a Fred Meyer's. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
3-star scenic little town. It's close to the beach. Yeah, it's like right on the beach. Reminds many people of little San Francisco because there's plenty of hills and it's surrounded by large bodies of water. The downside, it's small without much nightlife. And there's currently a housing shortage problem. And I think, yeah, any place like that where it's really scenic, you're going to have a housing issue because people want to live there.
Yep.
5 stars. Astoria could only be called suburban by someone who doesn't know the meaning of the word or Astoria. Apparently somebody called it suburban in another review, and this person's really tweaked about it. Astoria is a layered, beautiful city near the Pacific. Isn't it on the Pacific?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But it's
the Columbian River.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's in just a little bit around.
It is. It's like in like a bay, like
in the okay.
Yeah.
Or around
it's there,
okay.
but the ocean's not that far. It's only
I was going to say it's like right there,
5 miles away.
Yeah. It's a beautiful city near the Pacific that overlooks ship traffic on the Columbia, and I love watching that. The ship
I do too.
traffic. Its roots are traced to Lewis and Clark and its subsequent settlements to the British, then the fur traders, loggers, Finnish, and Norwegian fishermen. It's a unique place, the opposite of awful Seaside. Is that the town you're thinking of?
Yeah, Seaside is huge tourist attraction. It's beautiful. There is a beach. My favorite beach is called Arcadia Beach.
Okay.
And it's beautiful.
I do not remember it being horrible, though. That's why I'm like, okay, this person's very jaded. Anyway, there are some great bars, a few good restaurants, more than adequate brew pubs, yes. Several excellent coffee houses like Columbia Roasters and Coffee Girl. Anyway, let's see. The last sentence is pretty cool. Astoria is unique and wonderful if you're grown up enough to grasp what's really worthwhile in a city. Yeah. Anyway, so those are the reviews.
Yeah. I will say, and I wished I can remember the name of the pizza joint that we ate there in Astoria. The best service by far, the best pizza. Like, it was amazing. I think it's the only pizza one that's in over by the water, but it's amazing. So when I find out what the name of that was, I'll give them a shout out because they deserve it. Hands down.
Cool. All right. What do you got for paranormal stuff?
So, we talk about, you talked about the Fievel House in Astoria.
Yes.
It's called, there's so much information on this house. They call it the home of the Hatchet Harry Fievel. It was once regarded as the most haunted house in Oregon. But the story of the abandoned house left to rot. So this house was actually left to rot after a while. Out of spite, it was a strange tale haunted by decline of the city's most prominent and mysterious family that was lived there in Astoria. There is 2 houses, the Fievel houses, so just so you guys are aware. There's the one that is abandoned, and one now is actually the museum. So,
okay.
yes. The well-known one that we go and visit, it was owned by Captain George Favell. So it's the Favell House. It's also the museum, as we talked about. And as they say, it's at 8th and Exchange Street, which is like where the big grand Queen Anne mansion. It was built in 1866. The captain made his money by braving the perils of the Columbia River, where more than 100 ships have been lost by its mouth. So I don't know if anybody remembers, but it's called the Graveyard of the Pacific. This is where a lot of ships wrecked when coming into the Columbia. There's like a huge rock, and just how the waves come in. It's like you have to navigate through this very carefully. Even now, a lot of the ships, have to be very careful, and it also determines the weather and like the caps of the ocean. So, yeah. Interesting. It's just a lot of hauntings going through there. The captain's great-grandson, Hatchet Harry, lived with his mother, Florence, and his sister Mary at the time of the stabbing. Apparently there was a stabbing there, and that's why it's called Hatchet Harry. There is a little bit of information, but not a lot. A lot of it's just like urban legend and lore of what happened in this house. So George, he died in 1923, the other house, the museum, and left the other house to Harry, his son. So there was like 2 houses, and that's when Harry just let the house go. I don't know why. They don't know why. He just pretty much just left. There's a lot of people that said that they grew up in the neighborhood, and Henry was kind of like the To Kill a Mockingbird kind of guy. Yeah. So they always wondered, a lot of people always wondered kind of what was going on behind the door of the Favell house. A lot of people hear, voices, footsteps. They see crazy lights in this house. They have heard screaming, and of course, no one is allowed to really go in this house because it's so dilapidated. So, yeah, the museum is very haunted as well. Again, a lot of apparitions, voices. They've caught EVPs. I was trying to see if I can find any EVPs that they've caught through this house, but it's just there's not a lot, like a lot of it is talk through the town, basically, like urbans or anything like that. There's just not a lot of concrete hauntings of what's going on there. And then we have the underground. There is underground tunnels in Astoria. They have been known to have lots of. So from what I understand, back in the day, in some of these bars, and there's particular bars downtown in Astoria in the old part where there was trap doors. And these trap doors would open if there was like, they did like sex slave, unfortunately, in Astoria. So if there was a gal or even a guy that these people would find, and they would have them kidnapped, basically. They would have them either on this bed, visit with a lady of the evening. They find that if he was deemed worthy, that's how they would rob him. They would just basically have a trap door, and they would drop. Either if it was a lady, they were kept to be sex slaves, and that was all underground. Quite interesting stories. There's a lot of prohibition stuff, definitely haunted. You can hear cryings, you can see shadow figures. There's also like an evil entity is what they say. There was one of the, I don't know, they always called him, I want to call him a different name, but yeah, he was like the main person of all the, trapping people. So it was pretty interesting. I believe there's been a few big ghost crews that have been there and recorded of, a lot of like shadow figures and stuff like that, orbs, light anomalies, everything. So it's pretty cool.
Yikes.
Yeah. And then they have, of course, seeing ghost ships at the graveyard, the Pacific graveyard. They said that if you stand over by where there's a couple ships there that's like on the beach, and you can actually see the bones of these ships. And there are times during the day that you can actually see these ships that are sailing in, but they're really not there. It's a ghost ship.
Wow.
Yeah, which I think would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sailors that would report like there was a ship, coming into port, and they were calling out to that ship and there was no response. Or they would hear like a captain, ask for help, and the Coast Guard would know going out there, but there's no ship. So
That's
there's
nuts.
a lot of there's a lot of reports of that. So I thought those were pretty cool. The lighthouse there has seen a lot of those type of ghost ships. There was one famous ship that wrecked just outside of Astoria, and I think there was like over 100 men that died on this ship. And they could not recover the ship as well as the bodies. And there's been reports of these men, you can hear them screaming.
Oh, God.
You can hear them screaming at night, but they're really not there. It's just like the energy of hearing them scream or asking for help. And they've also seen apparitions of them walking on the beach. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That would freak you out,
Yeah, a little bit.
Go to sit on the beach for
we could sit on the beach, after our tours, and it'd be great. As long as you don't go across on the bridge, okay? I'm down.
I did find a couple of strange stories that I can share. Are you done with the paranormal part of it? I mean, your haunting.
There's so much, though. So
there's so much. There's so much here. So there's a story, a legend about a bandage man. Did you hear about this?
What? No.
Yeah. It's a tale about a bandage specter who terrorizes folks on the dark roads around Cannon Beach. Supposedly, he even carjacked trucks by hopping on the back somehow. Other versions have him poking around cabins in the woods on dark, stormy nights, scaring everybody. And he's been described as a low-budget, horror tale. He's a specter, but
bandage man.
Legend. I don't know. He's a specter that people see, and there's another one. This sounds really interesting to me because we did a podcast on glowing lights around the country. And I didn't hear about this one until just now. I didn't read about it. And there's tales about glowing balls of light floating around Coos Bay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Okay. One website supposedly discovered crop circle type drawings in the sand around Hug Point near Cannon Beach. They attribute these things to beings who lived under the earth. I mean, I don't know.
What if they were mermaids?
Well, it could be. It could be, right? And then there's a sea monster at Cape Kiwanda. That people go missing there, and they believe it's the sea monster that's taking people.
It's like the Kraken.
So the crackhead?
Yeah, the Kraken. The Kraken.
Oh, Kraken.
What is it with you? Spiders, now crackheads? I don't understand.
I don't know what's happening. The Kraken.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Let's see. There's, did you read about what is called the Hecata Head Lighthouse?
Headgate Lighthouse. Mm-hmm. The Headgate Lighthouse.
It's Headgate? Okay.
They call it, it sounds weird, but it's Headgate.
Oh, Headgate Lighthouse. Okay. And it's supposed to be like there's lady phantoms who
Yes.
roam the lighthouse.
I have an
So
experience with her.
you do?
Yes.
Oh my God. How cool
Yes.
is that?
Yep. Interesting fun fact.
Oh wow. Yeah, so I just thought there's like a whole bunch of cottages that are up on the by the shore, and um there are I guess this might be the lighthouse. There's cottages around the lighthouse that you can rent. And a lot of
Yes.
people say there's wispy figures that are seen around the cottages and all kinds of
Yes.
stuff.
There's also been like tales of fairies as well.
Oh, wow.
Hanging out there because of the foresty nature. It's beautiful. So beautiful. And very haunted.
I just think this is really cool. I think that it's wild how much hauntings
Yes.
here. I guess
Yes.
it's, you have the Columbia River flowing right down through it, and then you have the power of the ocean there. So there's just a lot of
Energy.
energy.
A lot
You
of
have,
energy.
the granite. You have all kinds of stuff right in there. So
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. I love it. I miss it.
Did you find any weird laws?
Oh God.
No, you didn't.
So,
Well, that's fine.
I did. No, I did.
You did?
I
Okay.
did. Oh yes. How did I ever find any some weird laws? So Oregon. So there there are no weddings on ice skating rinks.
Oh, somebody broke a hip. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know how. I mean, I guess they do get winter, but it's not as atrocious as our winters. I think it's more rainy.
Yeah,
maybe.
It doesn't seem very cold.
It doesn't seem, but maybe it could be from the ocean and everything and the coldness from it. Could be. Yeah, I don't know. There's no whistling underwater.
Okay. Yeah. I would think naturally there isn't any.
Just saying, those mermaids better stop whistling underwater.
That's it.
Yeah. Shoelaces must be tied while walking down the street. So no untied shoelaces.
Okay.
Or wear your Crocs.
Yeah.
I have Crocs, and I have actually a flashlight to fit on my Crocs. So you'll see me on the beach. Just saying.
Yeah.
Women may not wrestle in Salem, Oregon. So no wrestling, no mud wrestling, anything like that. Yes.
Okay.
Anyway. No pet reptiles in the city limits of Springfield unless you're a school or a city.
Huh.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
So you can't have a snake.
No snakes.
At all. No snakes.
I'm good with that, actually. Don't want one. Yeah.
No. Yeah. It's like spiders, like giant spiders.
Yeah.
No protecting the future in Yam Hill. I don't know where Yam Hill is. I wonder if they produce a lot of yams. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to let you know it is illegal to hunt in a cemetery. So don't hunt in a cemetery. I wonder if that's ghost hunting or if it's like actual hunting.
Probably hunting. It's interesting because every time I go to Salt Lake, I have to go to the VA once in a while. The cemetery that's right there in the city in Salt Lake.
Oh, yes.
Full of deer. Like, there's so many deer in there.
Yes.
And there's traffic whizzing by every side of that cemetery.
I think those are city-fied dinner. City-fied dinner. Oh, my God. Yep. Well, anyway, sorry. Lifting weights while driving on city streets is strictly prohibited. So don't be lifting any weights while you're on the streets.
Interesting.
I'd like to know what bodybuilder did that. In Myrtle Creek, Oregon, it is illegal to box with a kangaroo. So no boxing with a kangaroo.
Now, there's somebody in Blackfoot that raises kangaroos. Have you been out there?
No, I didn't even know that.
I've been there. I got to hug a kangaroo. And they have one that boxes. He's really cool.
I would like to know this place, please.
I will show you this place. It's so cool. They have baby kangaroos. Yes. Oh God, they're adorable. And
You wanna
fun
hug a
fact,
baby?
I didn't know this until I hugged the kangaroo, that they are softer than chinchilla.
Really?
They're like the softest fur that you can find.
Ooh, that's
Once you start,
interesting.
you can't you just don't want to stop putting your hands in their fur. It's amazing.
Ooh, it's
Yeah.
kind of like a sloth. You think that they're stinky and their hair is like wired,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the same. Their hair is really soft, and
Interesting.
they're not stinky.
You'd think they would be because they are so slow they wouldn't be able to clean themselves.
Well, and they poop through their skin.
What?
Yes, they poop through their skin.
Okay. No, I did not know that.
Yeah, now you know.
Oh,
Fun fact.
Okay.
And I just want to let our listeners know that whispering explicit language during sexual activity is considered illegal. So keep your mouth shut.
How exactly do you know in this?
I don't know. I think maybe somebody just got a little jealous and are like talking dirty, and they're like, nah, we don't do that. Naughty stuff.
Oh. Oh my God.
Yeah. So
Oregon.
that's the Oregon. That is the funny laws of Oregon. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I hope that you guys enjoyed our road trip show through Astoria. I love this place. It's such a neat place.
Yep.
And next week we have another grisly murder coming your way, and we'll have another road trip.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go do the truffle shovel. How about you?
Yeah, I sure am. All right, guys.
Truffle
Thanks for joining
shovel.